A 5-year-old boy who's never shown any unusual behavior suddenly starts talking about catastrophic changes that are coming. His parents, initially amused by their son's imagination, soon realize his games carry details impossible for such a young mind to know. When Mateus mentions specific dates, names of people he's never met, and events that haven't happened yet, the family finds themselves facing a reality that challenges everything they believed about the world. Could it be possible that a 5-year-old child could carry secrets about humanity's destiny in his infant mind? Welcome to Reincarnation Chronicles, where we explore verified cases of past life memories that science can't explain. Subscribe if these stories move you. Let's begin. In the small apartment in São Paulo, where the smell of coffee always lingered on Monday mornings, Mateus played on the living room floor like any boy his age should. His dark hair fell over his curious eyes as he stacked colorful blocks, building towers that collapsed with the slightest movement. Anna, his mother, watched from the kitchen while preparing lunch, smiling absently at the incomprehensible murmurs escaping from her son's lips. "Mommy," Mateus called without lifting his eyes from the toys. "The angels told me the world is going to change soon." Anna paused for an instant, the wooden spoon suspended in the air before resuming the circular motion in the pot. Children said the strangest things, she thought, remembering the fantastic stories she herself invented at that age. "Is that so, love? And what else did they say?" "That there will be water where there wasn't before, and people are going to be very scared." The casual tone with which Mateus pronounced these words made Anna furrow her brows. There was something in the boy's voice, a seriousness that didn't fit with his 5 years of age. She dried her hands on her apron and walked to the living room, kneeling beside her son. "Mateus, who are these angels?" The boy finally raised his gaze, his dark eyes reflecting a depth Anna had never noticed before. For a moment, it seemed like he was looking through her at something very distant. "They come at night. They're very bright and talk without opening their mouths," he explained, returning to stack the blocks with the same naturalness as before. "They showed me many things. Places where snow falls in Brazil." Anna felt a chill run down her spine. Mateus had never seen snow, not even in photographs she could remember. How could a child who barely knew the seasons imagine something so specific? "And when is this going to happen?" "Soon, before Christmas this year." The answer came so quick and sure that Anna felt compelled to mentally note that date. It was March. Christmas was still distant, but there was something in Mateus's certainty that deeply disturbed her. When Roberto arrived from work that night, Anna recounted the conversation with a mixture of concern and curiosity. He laughed, shaking his head while loosening his tie. "Love, he's 5 years old. He probably saw something on TV and mixed it all up in his little head." "But Roberto, you had to see the way he spoke. It didn't seem like a child making up stories." "Children have very fertile imaginations. You're worrying too much." But Anna couldn't forget Mateus's look, nor the way he had said, "The angels showed me." There was a conviction in those words that echoed in her mind like a distant bell, insistent and impossible to ignore. In the following weeks, Mateus continued reporting his conversations with the angels, always during the early morning, always with details a child his age shouldn't know. He spoke about earthquakes in places whose names he could barely pronounce, about world leaders he'd never seen on television, about climate changes that would make scientists rethink everything they knew about the planet. "Mommy," he said one April morning while drinking his chocolate milk, The man on TV is going to cry today.
What man, Mateus? The one who tells the news. He's going to be very sad because many people died far from here.
Anna turned on the television more out of curiosity than actually believing her son's prediction. Throughout the morning, the news ran normally. Traffic, local politics, weather forecast. But at 2 p.m., while Mateus slept his usual nap, the newscast was interrupted for a special transmission. A devastating earthquake had struck a small island in the Pacific, leaving hundreds dead. The anchor, visibly shaken, fought back tears as he reported the rising death toll. Anna sat heavily on the sofa, watching Mateus sleep peacefully in her lap. How could he know? How could a child who spent his days playing with blocks and watching cartoons predict something so specific and tragic? That night, when Roberto came home, she told him about the earthquake and Mateus's prediction. For the first time, she saw a shadow of concern cross her husband's face. "It could have been coincidence," murmured, but his voice lacked its usual conviction.
Roberto, he said the time. He said it would be in the afternoon, and that the anchor would cry. How can that be coincidence?
They decided to pay more attention to Mateus's words, writing down his predictions in a notebook Anna kept hidden in the kitchen drawer. The list grew day by day. Government changes, natural disasters, events that seemed impossible, but invariably materialized with frightening accuracy. "The angels told me you're going to get scared," Mateus commented one night while Anna helped him brush his teeth. "But you don't need to be afraid. They're taking care of us." "Why do they talk to you, Mateus? Why not to other people?" The boy stopped brushing his teeth and looked at his own reflection in the mirror, as if he were conversing with someone Anna couldn't see. "Because I'm still small. They said big people forget how to listen." Anna knelt beside her son, observing both their reflections in the bathroom mirror. 4. An instant, she seemed to see a soft light around Mateus, a golden glow outlining his childlike silhouette. She blinked several times, but the sensation remained. "And what else do they want you to know?" "That the world is going to be different. But you don't need to be afraid. They're going to take care of the good people." Mateus finished brushing his teeth and ran to his room, leaving Anna alone before the mirror, contemplating the reflection of a mother who no longer knew what to believe. During the month of May, Mateus's predictions became a disturbing constant in the family's routine. Anna had filled 3 pages of the notebook with notes, dates, and events the boy described with a precision that defied any rational explanation. Roberto, initially skeptical, began arriving home earlier from work, anxious to hear the daily reports Anna saved for him. "Today he said it's going to hail in Rio de Janeiro tomorrow morning," Anna told him, leafing through the notebook while Roberto examined the previous notes. "And that an important politician will resign before the end of the week." "Anna, this is getting beyond our understanding," Roberto murmured, running his fingers through his hair in a gesture of frustration. "Maybe we should seek professional help." "What kind of help? A psychologist? A doctor?" "I don't know. Someone who understands these things." That night, while Mateus slept deeply in his room, Anna stayed awake browsing the internet, looking for similar cases. She found reports of other children with inexplicable abilities, stories that made her question everything she believed about reality. There were thousands of pages, testimonies from desperate parents, videos of children making impossible predictions, documentaries exploring phenomena that science still couldn't explain. The next morning, the newscast confirmed Mateus's prediction about the hail in Rio de Janeiro. Ice stones the size of coins fell on the city for 15 minutes, causing damage to cars and gardens. By the end of the week, A senator announced his resignation amid a scandal that hadn't even been disclosed by the press when Mateus made his prediction. "We need to talk to him," said Roberto, watching his son play in the yard through the kitchen window. "Ask where this information comes from." They called Mateus inside and sat with him in the living room, trying to maintain a casual tone despite the tension hanging in the air. "Mateus," Anna began, carefully choosing her words, "we want to better understand these angels who talk to you." The boy stopped playing with his toy cars and looked at his parents with a seriousness that seemed disproportionate to his age. "They're not like the angels in the stories," he explained, arranging the cars in a perfect line. "They're made of light and know everything that's going to happen." "What do they look like?" asked Roberto, leaning forward. "They're very tall and have eyes that shine like stars. Sometimes they come alone, sometimes in groups. They show me things on a kind of television that appears in the air." Anna exchanged a worried look with Roberto. Mateus's description was too detailed to be the product of a child's imagination. "And what do they want you to do with this information?" "They want me to tell you. They say you'll tell other people when it's the right time." "What right time?" Mateus fell silent for a long moment, his eyes fixed on a point in the air, as if he were hearing something his parents couldn't perceive. "Soon, when things really start to change." That afternoon, Anna called Mateus's pediatrician, Dr. Carla Mendez, a respected professional who had monitored the boy's development since birth. She explained the situation cautiously, without directly mentioning the predictions, but highlighting changes in the child's behavior and conversations. "Bring him tomorrow," the doctor said. "We'll do a complete evaluation." At the office, Mateus behaved like any 5-year-old child during the physical exam. He played with the medical instruments, laughed at the doctor's jokes, answered simple questions about his routine. But when Dr. Mendez asked about his dreams, something changed in the atmosphere of the room. "I don't dream," Mateus said, swinging his legs on the examination table. "I visit places." "What places?" "Places where things are going to happen. Sometimes it's here in Brazil. Sometimes it's very far away. The angels take me so I can see." The doctor furrowed her brows, making notes on her clipboard. After the exam, she spoke privately with Anna and Roberto in the hallway. "Physically, Mateus is perfect. His neurological development is within normal range, actually slightly above average for his age," she explained, keeping her voice low. "But I'd like to refer you for a psychological evaluation, not because I believe there's something wrong, but to rule out any possibilities." Dr. Paulo Rodriguez, the child psychologist recommended by the pediatrician, known for his scientific and skeptical approach. During the first consultation, he applied a series of cognitive development tests on Mateus, observing his reactions and responses with scientific interest. "Mateus is an exceptionally intelligent child," he commented to the parents after the session. "His IQ is significantly above average. His articulation ability is impressive for his age." "But what about these stories about angels?" Anna asked. "Gifted children frequently develop complex imaginary worlds as a way to process information their minds absorb more quickly than other children," the psychologist explained. "It's possible that Mateus is picking up information from the environment, adult conversations, news on TV, fragments of discussions, and processing them in a way that creates these narratives." Roberto felt relieved with the explanation, but Anna remained uneasy. How would this explain the specific predictions that materialized with such precision? "Doctor," Anna said, hesitantly, "what if I told you that some of Mateus's stories came true?" Dr. Rodriguez observed her with renewed attention. What kind of stories? Anna opened the notebook and began reading some of the predictions that had materialized. The psychologist listened in silence, making occasional notes, his expression gradually transforming from professional skepticism to genuine perplexity. "You have specific dates for these predictions?" he asked, examining the notes. "All of them. Mateus always says when things are going to happen." The psychologist remained silent for a long moment, contemplating the pages filled with Anna's careful handwriting. "I'd like to propose something," he finally said. "I'll follow Mateus for a few weeks, documenting everything he says. If there really is a pattern of precision in his predictions, this might be something that deserves more specialized attention." When they left the office, Anna felt a mixture of validation and apprehension. Finally, someone was taking the situation seriously. But this also meant they were entering unknown territory. That night, while putting Mateus to bed, Anna asked softly, "Did the angels say anything about the people we're meeting?" Mateus nodded, adjusting the pillow under his head. "They said that soon more people will want to listen, that it's important to choose the right people. And how do we know who the right people are? They'll shine a little bit, like the angels. You'll see." June brought an unexpected transformation to the family's routine. Dr. Paulo Rodriguez had fulfilled his promise to document Mateus's predictions, and the results left him deeply disturbed. In 3 weeks, the boy had gotten 9 out of 9 specific predictions right, including details no child should know. "Anna, Roberto," the psychologist said during a meeting in his office, "I need to confess that I'm dealing with something beyond my area of expertise. I'd like to ask permission to share this case with some colleagues specialized in unusual phenomena." Anna felt her heart race. "What kind of specialists?" "There's a group of researchers at the University of São Paulo studying cases like this. They're not charlatans or mystics. They're serious scientists trying to understand phenomena that traditional science still can't explain." Roberto leaned forward, interested despite his skeptical nature. "And what would this mean for Mateus?" "Careful observation, non-invasive tests, scientific documentation. Nothing that could harm him or expose him publicly." That night, while Mateus slept, Anna and Roberto talked until the early morning hours. The life they knew was softly disintegrating, replaced by a reality that challenged everything they believed. "Sometimes I feel like he's not our son anymore," Anna confessed, watching Mateus through the half-open bedroom door. "It's like something very old and wise is looking through his eyes." "But he's still a child," Roberto responded, though his voice carried doubts. "He still plays, still cries when he gets hurt, still wants us to read him stories." "Yes, but did you see how he looked at that woman in the supermarket yesterday? Like he'd known her for years, like he could see straight into her soul." Roberto remembered the incident. An elderly lady had stumbled near them, and Mateus immediately approached, gently touching her hand and whispering, "Don't worry, your husband is fine where he is now." The woman had started crying, explaining she'd recently lost her spouse and was fighting depression. Dr. Helena Santos, a neuroscientist from USP, arrived at the family's house on a rainy July afternoon. She was a middle-aged woman with graying hair and intense eyes that seemed to analyze every detail around her. She brought discreet equipment, a portable electroencephalograph, high-resolution cameras, and measuring devices Anna couldn't identify. "I want to make it clear from the beginning," she said while organizing her equipment on the living room table, "that I approach this case with scientific skepticism. My goal is to find neurological explanations for the phenomena you've described." Mateus entered the room as if he were expecting the visit, greeting the doctor with a naturalness that surprised everyone. "You have questions," he said, sitting in the armchair beside her. "But some answers are going to confuse you." Dr. Helena paused, observing the boy with renewed attention. "And why is that?" "Because you want everything to fit inside the things you already know. But this is bigger than that." During the next 2 hours, the neuroscientist conducted a series of tests while casually conversing with Mateus. The results were disconcerting. His brain showed typical activity patterns of a 5-year-old child during normal activities, but when he began talking about his visions, the neural activity transformed drastically. "This is impossible," Dr. Helena murmured, observing the real-time graphs. "During the reports, his brain is producing brain waves we normally only see in adults in deep meditative states." "What does this mean?" Anna asked. "It means that when he accesses this information, his brain operates at a completely different frequency. It's like he's tuning into a radio station the rest of us can't pick up." Mateus had remained quiet during the explanation, playing with a Rubik's Cube he solved in less than 2 minutes, an impressive feat for his age. "Doctor," he said, without lifting his eyes from the toy, "you're going to dream about numbers tonight. Write them down when you wake up." Dr. Helena smiled paternally. "Mateus, I rarely remember my dreams. This time you will." The next morning, Dr. Helena called Anna at 7 a.m., her voice loaded with perplexity and a touch of fear. "Anna, I need to see you all again today. Something happened that I can't explain." When she arrived at the family's house, Dr. Helena was visibly shaken. She showed a piece of paper scribbled with a sequence of numbers she had written down after waking from a vivid dream. "These numbers appeared repeatedly in my dream. They were projected on a giant screen by figures of light," she explained, her scientifically trained voice struggling against disbelief. "I decided to research them when I got to the laboratory." "And what did you discover?" Roberto asked. "They're geographic coordinates, latitude and longitude of a specific location in the interior of Minas Gerais, a place I've never visited, never heard of." Mateus looked up from his toys, smiling softly. "The angels said you needed proof you could understand." "Mateus," Dr. Helena said, kneeling to the boy's level, "what's at those coordinates?" "There's a cave with very old drawings on the wall, drawings that show what's going to happen." The neuroscientist remained silent for a long moment, processing the implications of what she'd just heard. "How do you know about this cave?" "The angels took me there. They showed me the drawings and explained what they mean." "And what do they mean?" Mateus closed his eyes for a moment as if consulting an invisible source of information. "That the planet is going to go through a cleansing. Like when you clean an aquarium and change the water. Some things go away, but the important things stay." Dr. Helena exchanged a grave look with Anna and Roberto. The simplicity with which Mateus described such complex concepts was simultaneously fascinating and terrifying. "And when is this going to happen?" "It already started. You just haven't noticed yet because you're looking at the wrong things." That afternoon, Dr. Helena made some calls to colleagues at federal universities, archaeologists who could investigate the coordinates she had dreamed. 3 days later, she received a call that would change her perspective on everything she believed. "Helena," said Dr. Marcos Oliveira, an archaeologist from UFMG, "you won't believe what we found. There's a cave at the exact location of the coordinates you gave us, and there are cave paintings inside that aren't in any official record." "What kind of paintings?" "Representations of cataclysmic events, extreme climate changes, floods, earthquakes, but also humanoid figures surrounded by light, as if they were as if they were angels. Dr. Helena sat heavily in her chair, observing through her university office window. The scientific world she knew was crumbling around her, replaced by possibilities her rational mind struggled to accept.
"Marcos," she finally said, "I need you to document everything. Photographs, measurements, carbon dating, everything."
"We're already doing that. But Helena, there's
something even stranger." "What?" "The paintings appear to have been made recently. The paint was still wet in some parts."
Summer arrived with uncommon intensity in São Paulo. Temperatures reached historical records, and newscasts spoke of inexplicable climate events around the world. Mateus had become quieter in recent weeks, as if preparing for something important.
"The angels said it's time,"
he announced one December morning while Anna prepared his breakfast.
"They want me to show you." "Show what, love?" "How they really talk to me."
That night, Anna, Roberto, and Dr. Helena gathered in Mateus's room. The boy had specifically asked that they be present when the angels came with the important messages. At exactly 3 a.m., Mateus sat up in bed, his eyes still closed. A soft light began emanating around his silhouette, so faint that initially they thought it was a trick of the external lighting. But the luminosity grew gradually, enveloping the boy in a golden halo that pulsed rhythmically.
"They're here," Mateus whispered, opening his eyes that now glowed with an impossible inner light. When he spoke again, his voice carried a resonance that didn't belong to a 5-year-old child. "Humanity is about to take an evolutionary leap. The events you will witness in the coming months are signs of a greater transformation. Those who can hear must prepare others to accept changes that will redefine existence as you know it."
Dr. Helena observed in silence, her instruments registering energetic activities that defied any known scientific explanation. Anna held Roberto's hand, feeling an inexplicable peace fill the environment.
"The boy will remain as a bridge between worlds until enough people awaken," the voice continued through Mateus. "What you call supernatural is merely natural in a broader dimension of reality."
The light gradually diminished, and Mateus returned to being just a sleepy child, asking his mother to tuck him in better. The next morning, when Dr. Helena reviewed the recordings from that night, she discovered that all her equipment had registered only silence and normal darkness. But she, Anna, and Roberto knew what they had witnessed. They knew Mateus was just the first of many. 3 weeks later, on Christmas of 2024, the first snowfall in São Paulo's history covered the city with a white and silent blanket, exactly as Mateus had predicted months before. The changes he had announced were only beginning, but the most profound transformation was yet to come. In January, when the new year brought unprecedented heat waves across Brazil, Mateus began speaking about other children across the world who were beginning to remember, beginning to see, beginning to understand. "They're waking up," he told his parents one evening as they sat together watching the sunset through their apartment window. "The angels said there are thousands of us now, children who remember things from before." "Before what?" Anna asked, though part of her already knew the answer. "Before we came here. Before we were born this time." Dr. Helena had by now assembled a team of researchers, neurologists, psychologists, physicists, and even a few brave theologians willing to explore the boundaries between science and spirituality. They documented everything, the predictions that continued to come true with disturbing accuracy, the patterns in Mateus's brain activity, the testimonies from other families reporting similar phenomena in their children. "We're witnessing something unprecedented," Dr. Helena told the team during one of their weekly meetings. Not just isolated incidents, but what appears to be a coordinated awakening. These children share common elements in their experiences: the beings of light, the predictions, the memories of other lives. One researcher raised his hand. But what's the purpose? Why now? Why these children? Before Dr. Helena could respond, her phone buzzed. It was Anna. "You need to come. Mateus is..." saying something about a global event. Something big. When Dr. Helena arrived at the apartment, she found Mateus drawing on large sheets of paper spread across the living room floor. The drawings were far too sophisticated for a 5-year-old. Detailed maps showing ocean patterns, weather systems, and what appeared to be energy grids surrounding the planet. "He's been drawing for 3 hours straight," Anna said, her voice tight with worry. "He won't stop." Mateus finally looked up, his young face serious beyond his years. "The angels want everyone to know. They're showing me so I can show you, so you can show others. There's going to be a moment, they call it the convergence, when everything shifts. Not just the weather or the earth, but consciousness itself." "When?" Dr. Helena asked, kneeling beside the drawings. "March 15th, 2025. At sunrise in Brazil, sunset in Japan. The exact moment when day and night are balanced across the world." He pointed to his drawings, explaining with a clarity that defied his age how solar activity, magnetic field fluctuations, and human consciousness were all interconnected in ways science was only beginning to understand. "People are going to feel it," he continued, "like a wave washing over them. Some will be scared, but the angels say fear is just the old way of thinking dying. On the other side is something better." Dr. Helena photographed every drawing, recorded every word. The team would analyze it all, try to make sense of it through their scientific frameworks. But she already knew. Some truths transcended methodology. As winter turned to spring, more reports flooded in. Children in Japan, Norway, Kenya, Australia, all speaking of similar visions, similar messages. The media began covering it cautiously at first, then with growing intensity as the predictions continued to manifest. Mateus remained calm through it all, a peaceful center in an increasingly turbulent world. He still played with his blocks, still asked for bedtime stories, still laughed at cartoons. But there were moments when Anna would catch him staring at nothing, his eyes focused on realities she couldn't perceive. "Are you scared?" she asked him one night. "No, Mommy. The angels showed me what's coming. It's going to be beautiful, like when a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. It has to break out of something small to become something that can fly." On March 14th, 2025, the world held its breath. News channels ran continuous coverage. Scientists monitored their instruments. And in a small apartment in São Paulo, a 5-year-old boy prepared to fulfill his purpose. "Tomorrow, everything changes," Mateus told his parents as they tucked him in. "But don't be afraid. Remember, the angels are always here. They've always been here. People just forgot how to see them." At sunrise on March 15th, as Mateus had predicted, something shifted. Scientists later reported unusual spikes in the Earth's magnetic field. Astronomers documented unexpected solar activity. But what couldn't be measured or quantified was the feeling reported by millions worldwide. A sudden, inexplicable sense of connection, of expansion, of remembering something they'd always known but forgotten. Not everyone felt it, but enough did. Enough to begin asking questions. enough to start looking beyond the material world for answers. Enough to consider that perhaps children like Mateus weren't bringing impossible messages from another plane. Perhaps they were simply remembering what humanity had lost. In the months that followed, the world didn't end. It transformed. Slowly, quietly, but undeniably. People began paying attention to the children who spoke of angels and past lives. Scientists started designing new experiments to measure consciousness itself. And in São Paulo, Mateus returned to being just a boy. His mission complete, his message delivered. "Will the angels come back?" Anna asked him one evening. "They never left, Mommy. We just see them
Different now. And perhaps that was the greatest message of all. Not that the world was ending, but that it was finally waking up to what had always been there, waiting patiently for humanity to open its eyes. Do you believe there's much more beyond what our eyes can see? That some children are born carrying secrets from dimensions we don't yet comprehend? Then you need to discover other cases that challenge our understanding of reality. Stories of ordinary people who became bridges to the extraordinary are waiting for minds open enough to question. What if everything we believe about what's possible is just scratching the surface of a much deeper truth?